So strategies for financial success workshop. So welcome everybody. I am Tanya Hilts, founder and president of Cloud Business Services. And I'm here to make you think today. I'm also very passionate about small business and financial education. And you can find me Twitter, LinkedIn, I think as well. And Instagram and YouTube is at OneCloudBiz. A little bit about myself and why I am qualified to be here and to talk about this. So I have been 2018 to 2022 Insightful Accountants Top 100 Pro Advisor, 2020 Insightful Accountants Top Canadian Pro Advisor, and the Pro Advisor is from the Intuit QuickBooks side of things. So there's over 200,000 in North America, and so I made it to the top 100 and the top in Canada. 2019 CPB Canada Professional of the Year, which is the our Canadian Professional Bookkeepers Association. 2018 and 2019 top 50 women in accounting globally. 2018 Intuit Global Firm of the Future. 2018 Inspire Bookkeeper Award winner from Intuit Canada. 2017 and 2018 top 50 accounting firm. 2017 top 21 influencer in the Canadian bookkeeping world. I am a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, which means I provide education to other accounting professionals within North America through Intuit. And I am a committee and task force volunteer through CPB Canada on our ethics committee and our public affairs task force, and the founder of Cloud Business Services. So basically, that means I'm very busy and a very social person.
And very qualified.
All right, so we've already done this. Who was present or watched part one, which we've got most. So if you were not, and if you've not seen that, that is the correct link, because we did have issues with the link. That is the correct link for our personality report. Excuse me. So if you have not already done it, it's very interesting. So who here has done the report, the personality test? None of you.
Not this one. I've done a couple of different ones, but not this one.
This is very interesting. I highly recommend you do this. It will not only teach you about yourself, it will teach you about people you work with and your clients. It is a 90-second personality test. And what I recommend, go through, do it, and then when you find your results, when they get emailed to you, do it again and kind of do the opposite that you did. You will then have all the information on all 4 personalities, and it is extremely insightful. Bank is my favorite. I know Leanne has her favorites, and we have every client that we work with, whether it be a small business or on the bookkeeping side, we have them go through this. And there is actually one personality that if they're high in that, we refuse to work with, because they clash with me and it's not good for either of us.
Right.
And, so that's it. It's frustrating for both sides. So let's just not go there and let's just let everybody be happy. But it's very interesting. So I highly suggest you do that. Yeah. Okay, so quick recap of the first one, financial distress. That is what we are in right now. COVID plus this current economic recession that we are in, or just starting in, equals very sad piggy banks. And so the business cycle has tended to be, somebody closes down a business from whatever it is. Again, if it was through COVID, if it was just through, poor financial planning, poor cash flow, maybe they were more focused on what the business offered versus the business side of things and ignoring that, which we see a lot. 82% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. Most of that is actually due to poor cash flow, which is due to not having the knowledge on the financial side of things, which is why this is so important. But then what happens, another business, somebody comes up with a great idea, another business opens, and that's great, but what happens to those businesses that close? So we want to try to have everybody that's got great ideas and open a business, try to have the knowledge to have their best success. So insanity is having the same old thinking, getting the same old results, and then not changing the thinking. So we need to break the cycle. How do we do that? We learn, decide what needs to be changed, and then we break the chains, break the cycle, and then you can be successful in everything. So the problems that we're facing right now, we've got the global pandemic that we're still dealing with, economic recession, rush decisions. I don't know why that, oh, there it
Just a
is,
delay.
a delay, rush decisions. We all do it. I do it. Every business owner has done it at one point or another, made those rush decisions. And unfortunately, they don't always work out to be the best because they're rushed. You did not have the information needed or uneducated decisions. And, you know, some people say, well, it's always been done that way, so I'm going to continue to do it. We're in a world where we need to shake things up, and some things work the same way it's always been done, some things don't. So we've got to find out what that needs to be, shake it up. And incorrectly priced services or products, maybe you didn't raise your pricing through COVID, thinking of your clients. We did that too, but all of our pricing went up. You know, my team still got their raises. You know, my software went up, all of my costs went up, but I didn't pass that along to clients. Now I'm sitting here going, okay, now I have the time to go in and look. And in order to catch people up, I'm like, I've got to do a 20% increase. How do I do a 20% increase? I can't do that. They still can't afford it. And, you know, so you're thinking about your clients and you're not balancing that, which is, you know, where that comes from. It's great to think about the clients, but, you know, if you're paying out more, you're not going to stay in business long, so you can't help and service those clients. So you have to find that balance. So the solution to that, learn what went wrong, decide to change, gain the education that you need to make that change, and you can then succeed. Okay. So we are focusing on deciding what to change and gaining the education today. And some things you cannot change. Again, just a little bit of a recap. CEBA loans. This is looming over a lot of us. Just by a quick raise of hands, if you're comfortable, did anybody in here take CEBA loans that are coming up?
Yeah.
We did too. Yes, exactly. So we've got that coming up and looming on us at the, you know, the end of the year. There was 40,000 with 10K forgivable was the initial loan. Additional 20,000 with an additional 10K forgivable for the loan top up. Eligible expenses must meet the total loan amount. So anybody that had high payroll, that was great, no problem. Otherwise, there were certain things that were eligible, which were non-deferrable expenses, which payroll, rent, property taxes, utilities, insurance, and specific pre-existing debt, and anything that you had specific contracts with pre-COVID or pre-loan could have potentially qualified through here. Yeah, so there is the CEBA FAQ link that you've got, but conditions of the loan, it is currently due December 2023. Made an error that it is currently due this December, so please do not look at what is on there. So it's currently due this December 31st. Oh, sorry, initially 2022. Yeah. Then it was extended to 2023. A lot of people did not realize we are personally responsible for that debt. That is something that is very, very important. The banks and government were just trying to get money out. It was in the terms and conditions. If you're the type of person who reads the terms and conditions, which I did, because before I started advising clients to take it, I needed to know, but most people don't, because there was a lot of terms and conditions in there. And some people are like, oh, it's standard, it's in my company name, it goes to the company. There is certain debt, such as the government and the CEBA loan, because it's attached to the government, that if you close your business down, does transfer to a personal responsibility. A lot of people don't realize that any debt to the government from your business, such as corporate taxes that we're owing, payroll taxes, and GST, HST, does not go away. If you have to close the business or claim bankruptcy, that transfers personally. The forgivability conditions, the entire amount of the unforgivable loan, which would then be the 40,000 if you took with the full extension, or 30,000 if you only took the 40,000, is due December 31st, 2023. Excuse me. The eligible expenses must meet the entire loan amount, and the forgivable amount is taxable on your business income the year it was received. So that's in the past, that's kind of already been done and dealt with. What will happen is if you cannot pay the loan back and you lose the forgivability amount, that actually does get credited back on your taxes as a credit to income, but hopefully nobody has to do that because that's just not good. Okay, so what happens if you can't pay the balance off? The entire initial loan / remaining balance, because some people did pay portions off, depending on your bank, if it was done as a line of credit or a credit card, you can just transfer. If they did it as an actual loan, I think 2 of the main banks did it as an actual loan. It's not easy to make payments. So some couldn't in that case very easily. So what happens is your entire remaining balance, excluding the forgivable, or including, I don't know why that's, including the forgivable portion, my mistake on that, converts to a 2-year loan with the bank at 5% interest. Doesn't sound like a lot. I'm like, oh, 5% interest isn't bad. Credit card's 21. My car loan's 9%, 7%, whatever it is. But let's look at the actual numbers in just a moment. But what happens if you close your business? Like I said, you are personally responsible for that debt. You are not protected by bankruptcy of the business. The debt transfers to your personal debt. It impacts your credit rating. And again, if you claim personal bankruptcy, it's exempt from that as well too. So it will follow you. What you cannot change, 24 months at 5% interest. That totals $2,632.30 a month. Total, and yeah, when I was shocked when I worked that out myself, I knew that it would be a shocking number, but that is even, it's higher than I thought it would be. Total interest paid $3,174.80. It's not the interest paid that's the scary amount. It's now we're working with our financial budgets. How do we come up with an extra $2,600 a month as a small business owner when we're still, dealing with pandemic, and the recession, the impacts of all of that? It's going to be very, very difficult. But what you can change, and that's what we need to focus on, your financial plan. This is a great video. I will make sure that we've got this. We watched it the first time. You need to watch this video. It is absolutely great. You guys watched it. Did it have any impact to you, the video? Just the way you're thinking? Did you think, hey, yeah, maybe I need to look at things a little differently? Maybe, maybe not. It's a 2-minute video, but this humorous at least, humorous at least at best. And I think this is more so to people that provide services rather than, an actual physical product, because the product, it's kind of a lot easier. It's something tangible. Services are not so much, and services are more charged by the hour. Products are charged by the product.
We have both.
Yes, yeah, you've got both, absolutely. Okay, so we're not going to, there. Okay, so we're not going to watch that video because again, you guys can see that yourselves. Now, avoiding incorrect assumptions. This is huge. I talked to many, many business owners over the years, and these are things that I have heard from people. It doesn't matter what it says in my business plan. I know how to run my business. No, knowing your business is not all it takes. You need somebody, and if you don't know it, you need to have somebody who knows it and can help you with that. Ashton Kutcher spoke at an Intuit event that we were at just before the pandemic, so it would have been 2019. And he actually does have, he's not just an actor, he has got a lot of business stuff going on. But the one thing that he said, he doesn't have to know everything. He just needs to hire somebody who knows what he doesn't know. So it's important that you have that, because if you don't know the financial side and your eye's not on that ball, your eye's only on this ball, that side will fail. That happened to me as well. Just recently, I needed more staff. Couldn't find anybody locally. I did some outsourcing. They were great. I took my eye off the ball. Next thing I know, our costs skyrocketed And I ended up basically losing $65,000 over the year because I took my eye off it. So keeping your eye on all the balls or having somebody keep your eye on those balls are extremely important. It's all my money, so who cares what I do with it? It is not all your money, especially if you're a corporation. Some of it is the government's money that you're holding on to them. For them. It's, source deductions from payroll, the GST that you collect, it is not your money yet. It is the government's money that you are holding in trust. So the best thing to do is throw that into a separate bank account, and just know that it's not your money. The rest of the money, it is still not your money if you are incorporated. If you're a sole prop, it's your money. If you're incorporated, it is not your money. It is the corporation money. And taking money from the corporation to pay for your personal expenses at the very basic of the law is actually embezzlement. Now, there are times that can be corrected. The end of the year, you say, no, I took that, then that goes, maybe as a dividend or maybe as a management salary. So then it gets claimed personally because we know everybody does it. I do it, I balance it out at the end of the year. Everybody does it. But the money that stays in there is a corporation. It is registered with the government. It is not your money to do what you want with unless you claim it personally. And as I reminded people over the past, when it comes to that, those laws are in place. If they want to make an example of somebody, they certainly can. Al Capone, yes, it's mostly the US that makes those. Al Capone went to jail for tax fraud. They could not get the biggest gangster in history for anything other than tax fraud and tax evasion. Trump is up on those charges as well. So if they do want to make an example, they can make an example. It is in there for them. And that is up to the discretion of the people, the government that are running that. And if they can build a good enough case to do so. You have to be lucky to grow quickly. Luck can definitely be part of it. Timing can be a part of it, but it is you. It is your knowledge. It is your team. That is what is most important. As long as I have money in the bank, I'm not out of business. No, not true. Your bank account balance is not your profit. You have money that's owed to you. There is more information in the finances, in your financial reports that actually tell you what is actually yours. I can't afford to hire a bookkeeper or accountant. You can't afford not to have somebody who knows what they're doing. It will get you into way more trouble in the end of things, whether you learn yourself, whether you hire somebody on to have it. Invest in the knowledge. If you don't outsource, you need to invest in the knowledge, and definitely make sure that you have a good bookkeeper, and or accountant to at least consult with and to be able to help. I know at least one of you is in this room today looking at information ahead of time. That is the best thing that you can do, is look into it ahead of time versus, don't ask for permission and ask for forgiveness. That can get you into so much more trouble. And at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to pay for that. So do not do that. Make a call to somebody who knows the right answer first. That is key. And you can't sell inventory if you don't have it, and you can't have too much. No, most people that have an inventory system or an inventory business, the amount that is sitting there, they were just to do a great big liquidation and sell everything off, even at 50%, that could solve all their problems right there. And people keep thinking, oh, I have to have more. If I buy it, they will come. There is so much inventory sitting there that if they don't dust it off, it would have an inch of dust. So you need to be careful about what you're buying, what you're having available for people to buy. And if you work out, arrangements with people to maybe get it in quicker, or something like, look at all these Kickstarter programs. There's so many Kickstarter programs online now. They purchase before the product is available. If you offer somebody, well, you know what, we don't have it in stock, but if there's anything we don't have in stock, I'll give you a 10% discount on it. And we can get it in within, 48 hours, something like that. That is going to, more times than not, make the person who's looking for it very happy to be able to get a discount. And that discount is better for you than buying it and having it sitting on your shelf, just collecting dust. And excuse me, if my profit and loss says I made money, why don't I have any? And that's because your profit and loss does not take into account your accounts receivable and accounts payable. And 90% of the time that is sitting in accounts receivable. So these are some of the types of things that we're going to dig in today. And any other questions that you guys have, but these are the most common incorrect assumptions that I have come across through my years. Oh, and I've known them for years. They're good for the money. No. You have to keep your business relationship business, personal, and anybody who has a personal relationship with you that wants to have a business relationship, they need to understand fences are there for a reason. And put that fence up. Okay, so we're just going to pause this for now because these are afterwards. So if we can pause the recording for a moment, please, Tamara. Now you can. Okay, so this is the first form we're going to fill out. Somebody here mentions it's like a SWOT. So if you've ever done a SWOT analysis, it kind of is, and it's more of a high level that we're going to do on this. And then our next exercise, we're going to start digging deeper in. So what I'm going to do is go through this with Leanne, giving an example. You guys will have, if you're watching the recording of this, we will make sure that you have a copy of this so that you can go through this on your own as well as we're going through this. So client name, you're just going to put in your client name. So Leanne, what is your business?
That's a good question.
Pick a real one that you've had or
You
fake
want
one.
me, so we'll base it on Momstown since
Okay.
that was our longest.
Perfect. Okay, and so this is actually what I do with our businesses as part of it, like kind of a discovery call, is we go through this because a lot of people think, bookkeepers, what do bookkeepers know about, business coaching or business consulting? We know a lot. We spend our lives in the detail, and you're going to pay less for your bookkeeper to give you the information than a business coach. And the business coach probably doesn't quite know as much as we do on certain things. It depends on what you're looking for. So definitely, make sure that you are speaking to your bookkeeper or accounting professional. The difference between the bookkeepers and accountants, best to have a good team of both. I think I gave this analysis on the video, but your accountant is up in the airplane. They're 50,000 feet. They can look down, they can see that there's crop circles and they can see this and they can see that, but they can't see what's going on each blade of grass. The bookkeeper, we're down on our hands and knees digging through. We can see how many bugs are in each blade of grass or, whatnot. So that's kind of the difference as to the way that we look at things. And so it's really, really good if you've got two separate people to look at it differently. If you've got one person who's doing the same thing, they're not going to be able to catch as much. So it's better to have two different people, then that way they can kind of catch what the other person's missed. Just like accountants have caught stuff that I've missed because they look at it differently. I've caught stuff accountants have missed. And a lot of people think, again, the bookkeepers, the accountants went to school for so much more. Again, not the same. We are trained to look at it differently. Just make sure that the bookkeeper that you're working with has the knowledge, because there are professional bookkeepers and there are bookkeepers who know how to reconcile a bank account and don't know this type of detail. So again, make sure that you look at potentially the qualifications of your bookkeeper. There are in Canada 3 professional bookkeeping organizations that does certify. There's testing that we have to go through. There is minimum number of hours of continuing education credits that we have to go through, or make sure that they have enough practical experience, that they have this, that they're talking to them. If all they can do is AR, AP, and reconcile bank accounts, you can still use them, but for those services, don't use them for the other services. So, but again, just make sure, don't discount your bookkeeper is all I'm saying. Okay, so Leanne, we're going to go through this scorecard here. And we call it scope. The S in scope actually is for financial because it's the dollar sign. So we're going to take a look at the financial side of your business. And what I want you to do is I want you to give me 3 things: strengths, weaknesses, and ideal outcome. We're going to look at strengths. So what are 3 financial strengths of your business? Let's look at the positive.
Well, I was trained how to keep my books really well. So all my numbers are in my books.
I trained her how to do them. That was how I ended up in that business. Cheeky. Yeah. All numbers and books. Perfect. Okay. What's the second thing?
I pay people on time.
On time, okay,
Um,
perfect.
And I think I've priced like efficiently.
Price accordingly. Okay, perfect. Now, the reason we start out with the strengths is we don't want there's hard truths that you may have to face going through this. We want to start it off on a positive note because, last thing we want to do is okay, what's the bad stuff? And then have you focused on that. So that's why we want to start out with the strengths, start out positive. So now, what's 3 weaknesses, Leanne, that you have in the financial?
I'm really bad about asking my clients for the money.
Perfect. Okay, what would be another weakness that you have?
I
I know it was so long ago. She's been with me 7 years. so
I have, it's, that's okay. I run lots of businesses though.
If there are 3 to come up with, though, there's.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm trying to come up with
digging in.
common ones. I'm
Come up
trying to come up with common ones that other people are probably also experiencing. Sure, I can say, I put a lot on my credit card,
with. Perfect, yeah, carrying debt,
carrying debt.
okay,
Well, that last event that I held, I might have gone a little bit over budget.
okay. For budget on events. Okay, perfect. So when you look at the financial aspect of things, what is the ideal outcome? What will make you happy and know that your finances for the business are set good?
That my clients would just pay me so I don't have to ask them for the money.
Okay. Clients.
I'm the same work ethic as me. Come on.
An ideal outcome, maybe if I had my finances in, if I had that money coming in, I could hire someone to help me with it.
Okay. Hire someone for help. Okay. And a third thing.
That I'd be able to clear the credit card debt.
Perfect. So it's important to recognize as we go through these, there are solutions that we are going to talk about. So for those watching the recording, what we're going to do is pause the recording, dig in with the people. You don't have to not now to her. That's okay. We'll dig in with the people live. And then when we come back, before we start the next exercise, we'll just kind of summarize some of the solutions that we've come up with. So that way the people watching the recording afterwards can still benefit from that. Okay, so clients, let's take a look at the clients that you have. Okay, what are 3 strengths that you have with regards to your clients?
Absolutely, my customer service.
Okay.
They come back, so I have repeat.
Okay. And
I like them.
that's
We want to work with
important.
people who we like,
Well,
right?
they're local, right? So they're part of your community.
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's take a look at the weaknesses. What are some weaknesses around your clients?
Again, I wish they would pay me on time.
Okay. Okay.
Nope, I did a blocker here. I don't know what else could be a weakness with clients. Maybe they're, sometimes I get frustrated. They complain about something and I think I'm doing my best. I don't know how to say,
Maybe they might have higher expectations for certain items.
Sure,
Okay.
that might be something.
They want to make a deal.
Oh, they want to make a deal. They asked me to discount my services.
Perfect. Okay. Ideal outcome.
The clients would see the value I'm delivering.
Okay.
And that we can come to terms that we both agree on for payments.
Okay.
And that I get more referrals.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay. So now let's take a look at your overall general operations of your business. What are 3 strengths that you have with that?
for awesome events.
Okay.
Um,
Again, when you're thinking operations, you can think processes. Again, it's all internal
Mhm.
processes as well too.
um, I have good time management.
Okay,
Um,
gotta have a third thing. It's gotta be three. We want those three positives. Okay,
Did you
so
feedback, do you have feedback mechanism that's positive
Sure,
positive feedback?
we could say that we have a system for checking in with our clients.
okay, perfect. Okay. What would be some weaknesses that you have within or holes, gaps, something that could use improvement?
I don't have anything written down, it's all in my head,
Okay,
so makes it harder to pass things off to someone.
yeah, okay, perfect.
Communication. That part of communication.
It could, well, you could have, yeah, like, I don't have a really good communication or CRM, maybe there's no CRM tracking for when you're talking to clients. Again, it's all in my head, so I gotta kind of keep track of who I've talked to.
And what you've said to them. So yeah, the
Right.
CRM is extremely important, just to kind of, in case they forget what we
Promise.
what we do. Well, yes, and not only that, but again, when you look at everything, again, good fences make good neighbors, expectations, all of that. So when we have a conversation, and whenever we don't do this, it bites us in the behind. But so whenever we have a conversation with a client and the client tells us something or we tell them something, we actually send a follow-up communication just to summarize our conversation from today. Boom, here it is. Please let us know, if your opinion or expectations differ from this. So now there's something in writing, what we've promised, what we've discussed, anything, and that, it's in there, it's in writing, it's, covers yourself, it covers everything. And then take a copy of that and throw it in a note system. So that way, if there is somebody else that takes over, because, you've got to take a look at, with the systems, get them out of your head. You have to live by the bus rule. If you get hit by the bus tomorrow, who's going to pick up and be able to take over while you're recuperating? If it's all in your head, not going to work that way. So, and same things, different things that you've promised in conversations with people. So having a good, clear note system. So just had to throw that in there. Okay.
So
So it's
number
also
3,
good, like, I mean, for communication, are we talking about the same thing? Like then someone, oh, I didn't really understand that, like it's opening the
Well,
door again.
And yes,
Confirmation.
exactly, confirmation.
And as Maxine will say, if it's not documented, it's not done in personal care, so you have to document.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And it's great for the client communication too, again. And I know I've had some clients, well, we have this, why'd you send it to me? It's like, you know what, just to make sure we're on the same page. That's it. It's just nice, simple. I don't tell them that it's also for legal purposes and to, cover butts and all of this other stuff, but it has multiple things. But what happens is, if you said they had a different understanding of the conversation. This is now the time to clear it up and just to make sure that we're both on the same page. Absolutely. Okay.
yep,
And
next
is there a
one.
third?
Yes, so I'm spending too much time working in my business and not enough time working on my business. That's a big one.
Yes. Okay. On the business. And that is really important for people to understand the difference. And that's kind of, where I went back to the recap. You need to be able to work. A lot of people just work in the business. On the business covers the finance, it covers marketing, it covers everything. And again, maybe you're fortunate enough that you've got somebody to help you that knows that, but still making sure that they're doing it, getting updates. Where does that stand? It's still important, and it's still on you as a business owner to know that. And it's at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. And that when I took my eye off the ball, we've got a client that we're losing now. whether they fire us or we fire them, I don't know what's gonna come first because there's, hasn't been that good, but those people I outsourced to did everything wrong. I have now had to go back and go through, review 4,044 transactions and fix 3/4 of them on my time while I was on vacation. And that's got the client upset. It's my responsibility. I took my eye off the ball. I did not spend enough time working on the business and checking in with them. I trusted. Now, obviously, they are no longer with me, but I trusted that they were doing it properly, and I did not have a check-in system and KPIs set up for them to check in. And this is where, again, you need to work on the business, because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
And what's your ideal outcome
Okay.
on the
so
operations side?
My ideal outcome would be that I would be able to create my system so that I could very easily hand it off to another person. That I would have better communication tracking, so I can keep track of my clients and their needs better.
Okay,
And that I would adjust my time blocking to have time to work on my business.
okay. Okay. So that is perfect. So let's take a look at the people. And when we say people, I mean your team. Now, if you're a solo team, then we've got to take a hard look at yourself. If you have a team of people, let's look at your team. So again, this is people in your business working with you on the business, not your clients. So what are the strengths that you have with your people?
So I've hired people who really enjoy working in my business, and therefore, they have a passion.
Perfect.
It's better for my business.
Okay,
They already had a good skill set for what I needed.
okay,
And they're a good fit. We use that a lot. They're a good fit.
okay. Perfect.
Weaknesses. Training, I just haven't been able to do enough to get them to bring them up to where I need them to be.
We're upgrading.
Yeah.
Okay,
I still need more. I don't have enough qualified.
need more qualified people. And I betcha, just throwing this out there, shameless plug for the Small Business Center. I betcha there's grants that can help you with that. So contact Luke, right? Okay, yes, and a third. There's a third.
Can't keep.
I don't force people to look for 3 weaknesses. I force them to look for 3 strengths, though.
Do you have processes in place
Did-
for onboarding?
Oh, yeah, maybe there's no onboarding
No
process.
onboarding.
That's huge. Yeah,
Because again, it's all in your head.
it's all in my head.
And if
Yeah.
it's all in your head and you get distracted one day, you could forget something or skip ahead. Perfect. Okay. What is the ideal outcome look for you?
That I would be able to fill my team with the qualified people I need. And that I would be able to bring up their wages. I want to be able to offer, higher pay where it's earned.
Okay.
And that I develop an actual proper training or onboarding system so that it takes some of that pressure off.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so lastly, we want to look at the end in mind. So this is, your total. Now, this does not have to be, you're looking, 20 years to retirement. It could be a short-term goal. Maybe you want to look at what you want to see a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. So just depending on how you think with that. So what is your current end in mind look like just overall on the strengths of the business. So to get to where you want to be, what are the strengths that are going to help you attain that?
So, okay, strengths towards the goal.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a really clear vision, so I know what I want that end goal to be, and that helps,
Okay.
right? I have the passion. We gotta have passion in our business if we're, we're not gonna do it if we're not passionate about it.
Okay. So I'm just gonna ask you to dig in a little bit more on that. So again, your end, so what is your end in mind? Is your end in mind that you're thinking of right now? Is it retirement? Is it just to travel
let's
more
say
to?
I wanna open 3 more locations.
Okay, so that is your end. Okay, perfect. So the passion to open
To
the
keep
other.
going,
Okay,
a clear vision of that
Yeah.
I want to expand, I want to grow.
okay,
And so the end in mind is also that, ideal outcome for it. I'm trying to think of a strength.
Expansion, you say, growth and expansion.
Yeah, but that's the
or even you have the
goal.
knowledge, you have the
Okay,
knowledge,
sure, knowledge would be a strength, yes,
your own knowledge of the business.
in your head.
in my head, it's all in my head.
Yeah, own knowledge of business. Perfect. Because it's much easier to repeat than the repeated success than start from scratch. Okay, so what are some weaknesses that you have, that something that's going to get you in that'll get in the way or slow things down
Mhm.
or speed bumps
So-
towards your end in mind?
Because my goal is to expand, one of my weaknesses is the whole challenges I'm facing financial. I need to make sure that my finance, my accounts receivable and that are under control. The second would be the people. Again, I need to grow my team, right? And then the third is to have those systems in place, because I can't duplicate and, cookie cutter it if the systems are not in place.
Perfect. Okay, so your ideal outcome. So that,
Yeah, so my ideal outcome would be to take the business I'm currently in and,
that would be open your franchises, right? Or additional locations?
well, my ideal outcome would be to open additional locations, but to have that my current business is operating, optimally. Thank you, Luke. She's really making me work for it today.
Everybody.
Yeah, I didn't tell her I was gonna do this.
But yes, that my current business would be operating optimally so that I have that, exact system that I'm going to duplicate for opening the additional locations
Okay,
And more customers
and more customers.
that pay.
perfect.
All right.
Okay, so that's great. So this is now what I would like for you at home to go through and fill this in. We are going to pause now while we work with the people that are in person here, and then we'll be back. All right, so hopefully you guys have had a chance to go through and fill this card in, and we're going to go through some solutions for some of these problems, which should be problems that most of you guys are having. And yeah, and then at the end of this, there is going to be a video called Toast Kaizen that you will have a link to be able to watch. And that is all about making toast. And Kaizen actually is a Japanese word, and it comes from, continuous improvement is essentially what it means. And it is to look at different things that, is there anything that can be improved upon? Are there any inefficiencies? And it just shows that there's 7 items wrong with the way that he made the toast. So if there's 7 items wrong with the way somebody does something as simple as making toast, what could potentially be wrong or made more efficient in your processes? So something I highly recommend that you share with your team, your employees, get their input, because they're the ones that are actually doing these processes and can have a better understanding on what might be better. And hey, maybe it's going to make you more money, in which case maybe you can then offer a bonus or something if it helps with that, with your finances and your end result, your cost of goods, wherever that might take into play. So when we take a look at this, we've got the weaknesses. So bad about asking clients for money, carrying debt, over budget on events. When I look at this, first off, the asking clients for money, there are AR systems. There is an app for everything. So depending on what you are using, maybe you're having to do this manually. If you are not using any financial software and you're doing this manually, what I would recommend is templating you some emails. So that way you're just copying and paste. So I recommend 3 emails before a phone call or 3 reminders. So if you've at least got the wording templated and you can use, we talked about this with those in person, ChatGPT is a wonderful tool. It is completely free and you can go in and actually Google. So it's CHAT space GPT. So Google that. There is a free version, so you don't have to pay for it, and you can just go in and Google, potential follow-up collection emails, nicely worded for Ontario. So you'll want to put, your province or Ontario, Canada. The more specific you are, the more ChatGPT has to work with, and it can come up with some great ones. If you don't like what it's come up, just simply type in rephrase more polite or rephrase a little harsher, and it will come up with exactly what you're asking for. So if you're manually doing it, template it so that you're just having to copy and paste and do 3 follow-ups. If you're using software, if you're using an online software, those emails can be sent out automatically. Most desktop softwares do have a follow-up system. They do have to be manually triggered, however, because of course, when the software is not open, it's not running. With anything online in the cloud, so QBO, for example, and I'm referencing that because that's all that we use in our business and all that we support. For our clients, you can do 3 follow-ups. If you need more than that, there's also other options of software. There's Invoice Sherpa that is $49 US a month. So that's something that you're only going to want to use if the other options aren't available to you, but that can send out, you can set up consistently 2 years worth of follow-ups if you wanted. So it does a lot more, but honestly, if you're having to send more than 3 times, there may be a different problem that software is not going to definitely, or not going to be able to handle. So you've got that way it's not personalized. You can set them up on PAT agreements. There's software called Rotessa, ROTESSA. They are Canadian run. They are extremely reasonable for their costs. It's $9.99 a month. That gives you up to 10 transactions, I believe, and this is as of June 1st, 2023, those prices, so they may have changed by the time you watch this video. And it is $29.99, I believe, for up to 50 transactions a month. And that is a PAT agreement, which you set up, you have your client sign, the clients connect the bank account. And as long as it is in your agreement and your terms and conditions with the client, that you are allowed to withdraw the money from the bank account, you can just do that automatically. Again, you're going to want to make sure your agreement is reviewed by somebody that's got the legal knowledge to make sure that it's proper before you start on that. But it's really nice and easy. We use that when we have our fixed prices. It comes out on either the 1st or the 15th of each month. That's in the agreement. That is when Rotessa pulls it out. 5 days later, it goes into my bank account. If I have somebody who is a variable invoice, I invoice on the 30th and that money gets withdrawn on the 15th. So it has time for the clients to be able to review it. So again, you need to make sure before you bring in an app to use for that, the pre-authorized withdrawals, that you have your agreement proper with the client. Otherwise, you could be looking at some serious legal repercussions. So just preface that. QuickBooks Online or Xero as well also have automatic credit card payments that currently, at least with QuickBooks, are 2.5% plus 25 cents per transaction. You can turn that on certain invoices to give them the option to be able to pay. That will allow them to be able to pay quicker. You have the money quicker. If you're going to offer that, this is a cost of goods sold. So it should be worked into your costing of your services or your products, but that will enable you to get the money quicker. So there is a lot of options that you can look at. When they say there's an app for that, there's an app for everything these days. And if you get clients on a regular payment schedule where you're taking oh, we'll edit this out, not the ability to pay, the responsibility, what's that, when they have to do it? And bring it down.
Accountability.
The accountability, thank you. That's why I'll edit this out, the accountability to pay. Sometimes they just forget. They're so busy in their own businesses that they just may simply forget. It does not mean that they are necessarily a bad person. So you take that responsibility off of them and you shoulder that. I mean, how many of us have payments automatically come out of our bank accounts for our, you know, our cell phones, our utilities, our insurance, everything? It just makes it so much easier. So there are those options that you have. Absolutely. And then that way that just takes it completely off the table. Carrying debt. Again, you don't want to carry that debt. You want to be able to ensure that you have a good cash flow, and most people's cash flow is tied up in the AR. So the lower your AR, likely the less debt you're going to have to carry. One thing you need to remember, unless your business is lending money, you are not in the business of lending money. You are not a bank. You are not a finance company. And when we are carrying debt for clients, especially when that forces us to carry our own debt for our own businesses, that is what you are turning your business into. Look at charging interest on overdue payments. If you have somebody who's fallen behind, you can catch them up by saying, okay, we'll move you onto a pre-authorized debit. The money will come out on, you know, the 1st or the 15th of every month. I recommend only giving them 2 options. Too many options is a bad thing. They will, you know, not be able to make a decision. Maybe they're going to try to change it. President Obama wore the same color suit every single day. The reason for that was to lower the amount of decisions he had to make, because he had a lot of decisions to make every day. So we offer the 1st and the 15th. That way there's some flexibility in there, less decisions for the client to make. I know I've got money coming in every 2 weeks, works great. So, you know, absolutely consider that. And then take their previous debt and say, okay, we've got this previous debt. You've got, you know, we'll throw that over your next year's worth of payments and add that on to the next year's worth of payments. That way it'll give them the opportunity to catch up, and it will make for much better client relationships. And then you've got better cash flow. So if you're still carrying debt and it's not due to the cash flow, you need to then look internally. Where are you wasting money? Where are you wasting resources? And that's where, again, the Kaizen video will come in really good at that. And being over budget on events, make a budget, stick to the budget. Here at the Small Business Center, Luke, that's what he does. Part of what he does. He does lots of stuff, but he works with, you know, budgets and forecasting with people. So reach out. There are people that can help you with this without having it cost you an arm and a leg. There are resources, please use them. When we look at the clients not paying on time, we've taken care of that. Had agreements, you know, do those follow-up emails, and, you know, maybe even offer the credit card. Higher expectations for certain services. I betcha if you are not putting as much stress on your accounts receivable, you've got more time to actually take a look at what's going on in your business and be able to find a way to deal with those higher expectations that a client might have. Maybe this just simply means following up with the client, sending out a, you know, a service survey. Come up with a survey, ask them for their feedback. You will get the most important information on your services from client feedback. And there are free services that you can use for that as well. There's SurveyMonkey that I think has a free one. JotForm has a free one. There are so many places out there that you can get free information. If you are doing that, I would highly recommend that you take a look at where the information is being stored. JotForm, SurveyMonkey, all of the big ones are more likely US. If they're stored, the information stored in the US, it follows under the United States Patriot Act, which is different than our Canadian PIPEDA. So if you go in and you look and you can't find a Canadian server to store your information on, always go with the European server. I will go with the European server over Canada any day because the EULA has much stricter privacy policies than Canada. So JotForm, as an example, has a German server. Our information is stored in Germany, which is stricter than Canada, and it's not subject to US laws. and trying to wheel and deal. When it comes to that, do not discount your value. You can offer services back and forth. Some things that we discussed here is for referrals. You know, offer them something that is basically non-tangible, but is still valuable. So just as an example, when we had our income tax side of our business, our advertising, I guess, was ask how your return can be free. So for every person they referred over, they got $5 credit on next year's return. It encouraged them to come back. So we still made more money and it got their return to be free. But hey, if their return was free, that means they sent me 6 new people that I didn't have to pay to get on any other type of advertising. So again, think creative outside of the box with that. And when you're wheeling and dealing, always make sure there's an exchange. There's give and take. Do not always be the one giving and do not always be the one letting the client do all the taking. There needs to be a mutual give and take with mutual value. And feel free to think outside of the box of that. If there's something, throw it back to the client. Say, okay, well, what would you be willing to give up? If you want to save $100 a month, what would you be willing to give up on here? And then that way it'll help them maybe think. So again, think outside of the box on that. Operations, systems are all in your head, not written down. Huge. There are again free services. You have Microsoft and Google, Otter AI, there's many services that do this that are transcription services that you can record. I think Google will record while you're talking, Otter AI will, Fathom.ai will record meetings, Zoom will record your meetings. If you have an audio recording, you can upload it into Microsoft. Microsoft does not have a live one, I don't believe. Actually, as I'm saying that, some versions do. I see a dictate button. So you dictate to it and it will talk out what you're doing. So if you've got systems, as you're doing it, speak it out loud, be clear, be concise, and say, step 1, do this, step 2, do that. Work your way through. That way, all you have to do is go through and edit the recording, because again, it's not as good as we are, and there's accents to deal with and so many other things, lisps, all of that it could make mistakes with, but work with that. Now your systems are documented and you can easily pass that along to somebody else. No CRM tracking. Absolutely, you need to have something you can use as simple as an Excel spreadsheet or a Word spreadsheet. Again, you do not have to pay for this. You have something, you just need to make sure there are notes for every conversation and follow up with the client so you can set yourself up a really nice database in Excel. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. You can have each client can have a tab. There's a lot of different things that you can do if you do not have the money to spend on a full CRM. I will tell you, CRMs are amazing. We use one. We've used one for years. We just changed to the one that we've used. It definitely saves because it has everything in one. Our notes, our communications, we're going to be able to start texting from it with clients that want to text us. It's pretty amazing, but some people can't afford that. So as simple as a big Excel spreadsheet, just make sure you're keeping a copy somewhere. So because if it's on your desktop and your desktop goes, there goes all the information on there. So make sure you have a copy somewhere. And your notes. And it's always a good idea to follow up, send a follow-up email to the client, confirming your conversation. That way, if there is a misunderstanding in the outcome, or maybe what the client is meant to do, that is the final chance to correct it and to correct that misunderstanding. Spending too much time working in the business and not enough time working on the business. That's a recipe for disaster right there. You need to set time aside, whether it be, I know with myself, Friday afternoons are set aside I guess not necessarily for my business. I kind of work in it more often than not, working on the business, but the group of accounting professionals that I mentor, we get together and we spend basically Friday afternoons on different things, working on the business, and they have started to set aside all Friday to work on their business, not in the business. You need to keep your eye on the balls. Otherwise it's a recipe for disaster. If you don't have the time during the week, and that means that right now you're taking part of your weekend or an evening, please do set that aside. double check things. If you take your eye off the ball, that is a recipe for disaster. You need to know what's going on within all of the business. Now we look at the people, training, no time to bring them up to be where you need them where you need them to be. That falls back to the systems. You know, dictate that, have that translated, write down, have a process and a system. Then that's something that they can easily follow, you know, a nice checklist, make it as detailed as you need to be. Need more qualified people? Not much I can do to help about that, except for to say, reach out to Luke here at the Small Business Center. There may be resources that he's got available. Funding, if you can't afford a qualified person, there may be funding that you can get. You know, maybe Luke can connect you with somebody who's coming right out of the program because they happen to be right here in the college. So there's different things, different ideas from that. And then the no onboarding process, we've covered that. Dictate it, get it written down, get it out of your head. The end in mind, financial challenges. I think we've kind of covered all of that. Make sure that you've got somebody that knows the information that you need. Just one of the people that were here said that they receive the financial reports, but they have difficulty in actually understanding it. If that's you, use ChatGPT as well for that, because you can open up ChatGPT, copy and paste their financial statements. I am going to preface, leave your personal information or your company name out of it. So only copy from below your company name down. ChatGPT is open AI, which means it is public information. Anything on there can be used for the continuing AI for it. So you do not want to give it anything that is confidential. You pop that in there and then type in, please, or preface before you paste that in, preface it with something like, you know, please summarize the following profit and loss for myself as the business owner in simple, non-financial terms. Place that in there, it will come up with a summary. If you still find that difficult to understand, put rephrase, you know, using simpler language. And then that way that will be able to help you with that. That is a free way to be able to do that. Obviously, if you've got somebody accessible to you, a professional, that would be the best option. Again, if you can't afford, Luke is extremely professional and can certainly help with that here. People needing to grow the team, same thing, you know, reach out, use your resources. Luke may be able to have resources for that and systems not in place. That is getting everything down on paper. So we've covered some, you know, simple options to all of these. And there is, you know, there's solutions to everything. There's apps out there that can help make your life easier. You do not have to pay for all of these apps. So please just do this to get your business in a better place and take advantage of all the resources out to you so that you are not one of those 82% of businesses that have failed within in the first 5 years of business. There are going to be a few extra resources, and of course, this card that's going to be included for you to fill in with the webinar for those who are watching the recording. So make sure that you've got all of that and reach out if there's any questions. And the Small Business Center here tomorrow, and Luke know where to reach us. Okay, thank you so much. And I hope that, yeah, that you guys got some value out of this.
I can't see why anybody wouldn't get value from Cloud Business Services. Give Tanya or Leanne a call or contact, and the information will be posted in the in this YouTube channel video for you to be able to contact them directly for their services, and it's all individual and confidential. We thank you for joining us, and let's get your business out of the clouds and into the clouds.
Out of the gutter and into the clouds. There we go. All right,
Thanks.
thank you.